So, today's episode of Take a Seat is all about putting a spotlight on sustainability, and we're delighted to welcome our guest, Christian Williams. Christian is the co-managing director of Here's the Plan Limited, where he helps set the company's vision and strategy for growth while championing innovative sustainability solutions. In his role, Christian works closely with partners and suppliers to ensure the business delivers meaningful impact, supporting organisations on their journey to net zero, while reinforcing Here's the Plan's position as a sector leader. A graduate of Dundee University, Christian has spent a number of years with the company, gaining experience across several departments as he progressed through the organisation. Alongside fellow MD Sam, he co-founded the company's sustainability department and has since been recognised within the industry with multiple award nominations. His career is driven by a passion for creating lasting change, whether that's helping businesses reduce their carbon footprint or developing strategies that deliver long-term benefits for both clients and the environment. In today's conversation, we'll cover Christian's journey, Here's the Plan, the development of their sustainability department, and Scotland's current infrastructure and the challenges we're faced with through this. This conversation is all about leadership, people, and place, and how sustainable thinking can shape healthier communities and a better future. Christian, take a seat. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So thanks so much for joining us. Seeing the journey that you and Sam have gone through and how closely you've been able to work with the Chamber, not only with our members and with the network, but actually helping the Chamber itself as an organisation has been great. And I just wanted to kind of kick off by congratulating you on B Corp status.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So something that the Chamber looked at. We did a project with an intern a few years ago, and I know how valuable it is, but I also know how much hard work it all is.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so we found out in December 2025 that we'd finally been accepted and got our B Corp certification, but it took us maybe over a year, probably about 18 months all in to really make it come together. And it was the reason we decided to do it is we preach a lot about sustainability, ESG, and trying to be an environmentally minded business and help our clients get to net zero. So how do we make sure that we're not just talking the talk, but walking the walk?
Yeah.
And we thought, brilliant, B Corp, we'd heard so much about it, we'll go for our certification. And then during that process, we realized, wow, there's so much more to it than we first expected. That's why the process probably took as long as it did, because it goes into such detail on every single aspect of your kind of ESG journey as a business, really shines a light on all the little things, whether it's a policy that was set 2 years ago or your plans for the future around hiring and recruitment and making sure that you're not just thinking about the now, but how you're going to be as a business in 3 years' time. And that was great for us as well, because as we're looking to grow, it allowed us to build a foundation with ESG at the core of it. So it meant a lot of work, a lot of very, very clever people within the business. Lou Paul and Tanya Hay kind of took the lead on creating everything that was necessary for that and bringing it forward. And then over that time, we've just seen the benefits kind of trickle throughout, even during the process where a new policies come in, or we've changed the way we approach this, or we start to do something which is even better for the environment, all as a result of trying to get B Corp certified. And now finally we are, and we can shout about it and celebrate that.
So for people who don't know what it is, do you now have bees on the premises? You're not beekeepers, are you?
We actually considered that. A couple of years ago, you might remember there was like a beehives became very in, and we have a little kind of side part of the building which is only used for like our bike storage as part of our cycle to work scheme. We thought we could put a beehive there. This wasn't B Corp related, but we did consider it, and then we thought the upkeep there, we don't want to get it wrong because that would be terrible. But B Corp is basically, it's kind of the gold standard when it comes to businesses that are trying to demonstrate that they're not just talking the talk but walking it as well. And for us, it was about how do we show, especially in an industry where we operate energy, where there are so many different certifications, so many different standards and legislation, that it can get quite noisy and people can maybe say, well, what is this one for? Even with ISO standards and understanding all the different ones of those, which is something we also do. B Corp was a very clear way of saying, this is a business that holds its environmental and ESG policies as its number one kind of North Star. That's how we set all of our policies, our growth plans, and everything we want to achieve as a business. Let's try and achieve that. And in that way, when people are working with Here's the Plan, whether it's our clients, suppliers, or our partners, or like the Chamber, for instance, they can take confidence in knowing we're B Corp, and that kind of gives that peace of mind straight away that this is the standard of business, and that's really why we went for it.
Yeah. And apart from the benefits that you've already talked about, which are sort of quite obvious internal benefits, so what about the external benefits? So I know that there are obviously other businesses so is it just a UK thing? Is it wider than that? And what are the external benefits it's going to bring you?
As far as I'm aware, it's worldwide. I think in the UK, at the time of our kind of becoming certified, there was around 2,700 businesses in the UK that would received it, according to the B Corp directory, which has a list of all the different B Corp businesses, and you can filter by country, and there are so many countries on that.
Right.
So it definitely is worldwide. I think there was around 10,000 at the time. So it's a very, very big thing. As soon as we got certified, we started to be reached out to by other B Corps, saying, we've just seen you've got your certification, it'd be great to speak to you, just hello, quite networking, kind of just saying hi, which for us was good as well, because we are based in central Scotland, which is great, but obviously we have clients all over the UK. So it's another way for us to reach more people, but also it's really opened our eyes to what other people do. And some of the businesses within it, you just look at the list and I didn't even know that was a company. I didn't know people did that. And that's been really eye-opening for us for what other operations go on in the UK. And then it's only when you click on their profile and you look at what they're up to, that's a great idea. That's a brilliant practice that we could embed to make us even more environmentally friendly. So there's a lot of knowledge share. They have also a thing called Beehive, which is kind of their community hub. They host events online, in person, and there's also a lot of like sharing opportunities there. So just speaking to other companies, we've been able to find out even more ways we can improve. But then obviously there's the opportunity to work with other B Corps. There's that sort of wanting to work together, because it also makes it easier when it comes to renew your certification, because by working with suppliers and clients who are B Corp, that helps improve your score essentially, because they're practicing the same policies you are, and it's just consistency. So there's a clear benefit there as well, where there's the opportunity for us to work with other B Corps, which is fantastic.
But less than 3,000 UK businesses with that standard is
at the time,
something to be spoken for then, isn't it? That's
amazing. Absolutely. And given it took about 18 months, you can see why maybe that number's not higher.
Brilliant. Perfect. So the next thing I wanted just to talk to you about is your AAA plan. So, assume that we know nothing, assume that, we're going to tell people about Circular Tayside and your engagement with that. But tell us more about the AAA plan.
Well, the AAA plan, it no longer exists in the form of the AAA plan, but it is essentially where sustainability kind of started for us. So 6 years or so ago now, actually, that might be right, is myself and Sam, we were both account managers within the business, and we had a portfolio of clients, and we were kind of looking after their day-to-day gas, electricity, water, that sort of thing. We both had keen interest in sustainability. Circular Tayside was starting to pick up, and there'd been like interest through the chamber of we're trying to get this started. Would you like to be involved? And Sam and I were like, absolutely. So we both became Circular Tayside ambassadors and started to work on, how can we make Here's the Plan more, not just energy, but sustainable energy, and think about how we move the business in that direction as well. With the support of the directors, who basically said, work on it. Like we think it's a great idea. Just keep going. We started to think about all the different things we could do. AAA plan being one of them, which was the idea was the triple part was accountability, awareness, and achievement. So what do you need to do in accountability, and who needs to be a part of it? Awareness is how do we bring in your stakeholders, and then achievement was over the course of 1, 2, or 3 years, what things do we need to put into practice to achieve your green goals or your sustainability goals? Very basic, because it was our kind of first start of it, and we'd started to put a bit of an idea together, but we were on a call with Circular Tayside and had floated the idea. I say floated, I'd maybe said, it's ready to go. At the time, I think we'd been put into breakout rooms because it was the time of COVID, and we were in so Sam and I were in different breakout rooms on Zoom or whatever it was, and I think I'd said with a bit of confidence, it's ready to go. And 2 people on the call, 2 other ambassadors, said, oh, we'd love that. So I'm frantically texting Sam under the table. Not only have people like it, 2 people would like to buy it. So then it was all systems go. We had to finish what we had kind of just started to put together very quickly. But then it came together over the course of a couple of weeks, and we ended up delivering that for a few businesses, one of which promoted it so much it ended up in like the paper and things like that. And we were like, wow, this is starting to snowball a bit.
Yeah, no, that's fab. And so you've talked about Sam, and I mentioned him in the introduction. So joint managing directors, co-managing directors, what does that look like? Tell us about that and your journey to there.
So Sam and I have worked together pretty much every day since that AAA plan call, where I think that was a good base for our working relationship. I said, we can do something. And then I text Sam, how do we do that? And that's kind of been it for the last 6 years. We started working with each other in sustainability, and then Annette Welsh, Douglas Reed, and Ruddy Zell, the directors of Here's the Plan, at the time were so comfortable with us just basically, as long as we were doing kind of what they needed us to do day to day, Sam and I were doing maybe an early morning or late night thinking about sustainability. What other products could we offer? What other services could we offer? How could we interest people in that? And then through that, what's been really lovely is we also became best friends. He's going to love listening to this, but we were, he was a groomsman at my wedding. I was best man at his. Our wives are really good friends, and that's been lovely for us because through the kind of working together, we've just become really close friends at the same time, and our skill sets are very complementary. If you've spent time with Sam and I, you can probably see that we're two sides of the same coin. Different skill sets, but very complementary of each other. And really, the directors at Here's the Plan, as we were going through the business, could see that and would always encourage that and say, you two are a team. So we were always putting the same projects. We were always working together. Even when we got moved into different departments, as our careers kind of progressed, and Sam went into operations and I was more into commercial and business development, we would still find a way to be doing kind of the day job, but we've got this new idea, let's work on it together. And then that's just matured and turned into last year when we became joint MDs. We always wanted to do it together. We talk about it, and then so when the opportunity came up to kind of take over from Douglas Reed, who was looking for kind of what's next for the business, we said, well, we want to do this together. And they said, yeah, that seems sensible to us. And yeah, it's been really good. Before we started the role, we basically listed all the responsibilities of a managing director and said, who's good at what? And it was quite easy to say, well, that's clearly your skill set. That's my strength. That's your strength. We'll take those as our individual responsibilities. And then these are the areas that have to be a joint decision. And that's been working really well, and kind of how we always work together anyway. So it was really natural to just continue that into a higher level and kind of looking after the business as a whole.
We had Sam with us at a very unusual health and safety training day at SSEN last year. And, he was sort of like, this is my kind of networking.
He told me he loved it. Yeah.
Sam was like, okay, we'll have to talk to people, and this is my level. Thank you very much. And actually, that takes us on to talking about, I suppose, infrastructure, because SSEN Transmission are an integral partner to the Chamber. They've just been so supportive, but they're just one cog in probably the infrastructure of Scotland and what's going on. And I know you know an awful lot more about that than me, but tell us about what kind of challenges that's thrown up, not just your area, but for your customers.
Yeah, I think clients now are so keen to have green credentials. The move towards net zero, to transition to being more sustainably minded business is so significant now. And there are multiple drivers for that. It might be pressure from clients, from your stakeholders, from shareholders, or just because you really believe in it as a business and you're trying to take those steps. The difficulties come when you've been encouraged to access, maybe there's a grant or a scheme available through council or government to fund things like green technology. Solar panels is a really common one. You go through quite an intensive, time-consuming exercise of proving that you're eligible for these kind of grants and schemes, and we always help our clients to do that, whilst in the background knowing this area of Scotland is quite tough to get at capacity. That means the substation needs to be upgraded, and when that happens, whoever needs that upgrade at the time fits the bill. And that can be quite pricey, especially for businesses who maybe don't have deep enough pockets to just throw £100,000 on a substation.
You don't budget for that.
No, you don't. And you also don't own the substation as well, which can be quite a difficult thing for people spending 100k on this process, installing it on their business's property, to then not own that is understandably a bit confusing when it's new. Those issues for us are probably the biggest ones, the capacity issues. And is there enough capacity at the local substation? Is that transformer big enough? You know, these kind of everyday things that I think, especially until I was more involved in the kind of project side of things, I kind of took for granted. Energy came into the building and you used it, and you could put solar panels on and use less. Obviously, you know, anyone who listens to this who works in renewables or sustainable technology knows that the pain comes from it's all fine except for connecting up to the local network, because that's where the infrastructure problems happen. And in Scotland, it's a bit better, but in terms of who you need to speak to, because the country's split into two in terms of DNO, which is the distribution network operators. You've got SSEN, you mentioned, and then Scottish Power Networks. So there's two potential parties, split the country in half. If you're in one area, it's one. If you're on the other, it's really just, I think, frustrating for businesses who are trying to do the right things, especially if there is funding and things available, which is fantastic, that then they can't use because ultimately they're not able to connect.
Yeah. And do you find at the moment that businesses are not really able to kind of look too far ahead? Because I can imagine, you know, from the DNO side of things, that actually trying to predict that future demand can be quite difficult. And so it's that difference between what a business thinks they can do now, or like I'm trying to buy my energy and fix that for the next 2 or 5 years, and then what I want to do 5-10 years down the line. But those energy companies don't really know what businesses are planning. So it's almost that bit in the middle that's needing some kind of brokerage, isn't it?
Yeah, a phrase that we say quite a lot, and unfortunately in the industry there's a lot of we can guarantee. Well, no one can guarantee us. We've seen the last few years, we have no idea what the energy market's going to do because it's so volatile due to geopolitical risks, you know, a number of different things which we won't have time to go into today. But the only time we know what the cheapest day of the year to buy energy is once a year's gone by, and you can look back and say, okay, the stats are there. It was that day then in February.
Right. Yeah.
And that was because of X, Y, and Z. So it is really difficult for businesses, and that's why we have things like flexible energy, which is where we purchase energy on the day ahead markets, purchase in maybe for February in 2 years' time because the market looks good then, but you haven't bought in between, and all these kinds of clever ways to buy energy. But that's quite a sophisticated way, and not a lot of people are doing that below a certain level of consumption, and it's big energy users that can do that. So for the kind of more average everyday consumption sizes, it's really hard to say what we're going to do, especially if it's a leased building. That's a really common one as well. We can't connect up right now, but we've been told that this is going to get upgraded in 2029. Right, our lease is for 4 years. We might not renew that.
Yeah.
You know, what do we want to do about that? And how can you make a commitment that long? There's really good options to get what's called a PPA, which is basically where a capital investment firm will pay for the panels for you, and you can do a clever kind of buy scheme through that. But those agreements tend to be around 25 years. That tends to be the standard. And so, you know, we have some of the farmers we work with, they'll say, that's fine, because the farm's not going anywhere.
No.
But if you are a manufacturing site or a business that's growing quickly, are we going to be in this building for 25 years? No. And it's not that easy to take your panels with you. So it's, you know, what does that look like as well? So I think it can be really hard for businesses to look out more than a year, especially given the landscape that we've had. We are kind of settling back in 2 and 3 year deals, and decisions are becoming far, far more common. But that's probably only over the last 12 months, I would say.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So a huge thank you to you for taking the time to come and talk about what is definitely your specialist subject.
That's very kind.
And so it's brilliant to hear those insights. What we do with all our podcast guests, though, is a quick set of questions we call key questions.
Okay.
Obviously inspired by our location. So tell us, what's the one piece of advice you wish you'd known at the start of your career?
This too shall pass. Definitely early on. I remember the first networking event I ever came to was in here. I think it was at DAC 123, and I was probably 19. It was when I first started, like years ago, Here's a Plan, and I came in all guns blazing, and no one said yes, because I was really over the top, and it really, like, the no's affected me. And Annette said to me, like, it's okay, like, don't worry about it. And I think, especially having been in a sales role, taking the no's quite personally, or wanting the company to do this and do that, and getting quite caught up in the emotional side of it, I guess, because I've probably been at the company so long,
Yeah.
but then also you get an award nomination and you feel on top of the world.
Yeah.
And then a week later, everyone's moved on and it doesn't matter anymore. So this too shall pass for both reasons.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
good times
yeah, and the
are
bad
good
times.
and the bad
Yeah.
times are bad, but next week it will be something
Yeah.
else. So
Yeah.
probably that.
Yeah. Really teaches you resilience, doesn't it?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that
yeah.
bounce back ability.
Yeah. And just the roller coaster of life, careers, you know, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
it's a good way to just steady yourself.
Absolutely, it sure is. What's one issue that keeps you up at night?
Ooh. Can I talk about St. Johnston? Is that allowed?
Yes.
Is that allowed on a Dundee
sure
Chamber pod? Maybe the football. It's been good recently, actually. So that's maybe not so much that, but yeah, that's terrible. But yeah, I'm a bit football daft, and when things a couple of years ago weren't going well, that used to really bother me.
Yeah. Love it. And if Here's the Plan had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, if we had a theme song, what would it be? If we had a theme song, what would it be? Something cheesy like "We Are the Champions."
Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's really good. That's fabulous. So thank you so much. A huge thank you again for joining us. Your story definitely highlights that sustainability is not a tick box exercise, I think. It's a journey shaped by leadership, intent, and the willingness to think long term. And we've covered lots of really interesting things today. I've really enjoyed it. From achieving B Corp certification to building a sustainability department and sharing insight from your path to managing director and the wider context of Scotland's infrastructure, this conversation shows how embedding sustainability at every level can drive real lasting impact. There are more episodes of Take a Seat coming soon, so make sure to keep an eye on our socials for a sneak peek at the next episode. Thanks for listening.